Now it's back in place. He's not going to know it was tipped over. All right, guys. I'll do the best I can on this video to make it an actual how-to video. We're overhauling the 9420. So how we started the project is your cooling package. Everything is still one piece up here. All your coolers are up here. We disconnected the one air line for air conditioning, brought that back. The other air conditioning line stayed with it. Basically, for this whole big front end, you basically got your upper water and air pipe and your lower water and air pipe. And then you've got 4 cooler lines that come right here. 2 there, 2 there. They're underneath this tray. I don't want to move it. That's a kind of our workstation. So we'll tear a little bit apart and then clean and organize and then tear a little bit apart. But then you get rid of your safety shields that are here. And there's just one big bolt right here. And then 3 bolts here. Boom, boom, boom. And I took our cab lifting bracket and made a sling and hooked right down here. And then took the ratchet strap and hooked back here. One of these, so you got two bays down here, one here, one here. So one side was to the front and the other side was to the back. And then with the orange strap hooked to here, it balanced the hood. And we literally just trolleyed it over and set it down. It's just sitting on some wood blocks to balance. And now the engine is just like any other engine. There's not a lot of technicality, quote unquote. So then you just got your, your viscous fan and your belt and auxiliary drives up here, alternator, external fuel and manifolds, turbo, intake and exhaust, plumbing, just stuff in the way. And obviously your batteries are disconnected. And so I've got the turbo and exhaust off, and we're gonna pop the head off before we take it off. You got a 4-valve engine, 4 valves per cylinder with 1 cam lobe for your unit injector. I remember going to school on this engine. Let me tell you a story. The year was 19 something, 95, 96, 97, somewhere in there. Deere developed this 12.5 along with Detroit Diesel. So you remember Detroit Diesel around the same time had their 12.5 in their pickups. And so this obviously is several generations later. But I remember going down, there actually used to be a branch building in Minneapolis, and went down there for training. They were an interesting engine, very beefy. They're beefy. But they finally, went to a 4-valve head and a cross flow pattern on the head. And that's kind of what helped them old binders make good powers. Your intake came in one side and your exhaust came in or went out the other side. Where if you look at like your other John Deere engines, your exhaust and intake wrapped over each other, and it affects performance. So this is a design that pretty much everybody else had already been using for a while. But yeah, so then I got in the back. One of the neat things with these electric engines was they had a static compression test. This is, we'll be done with story time here, but you could hook your laptop. I remember sitting in the cab at training, and you could hook your laptop up to it, and you'd spin the engine over, and there's a crank sensor, and it would sense the time it took for each piston to come up on a compression stroke. And if one cylinder is really low on compression, that piston actually came up fast enough that the electronics could catch it and it could say, hey, something's wrong with number 3. You got low compression on number 3. But then with a flashlight right around the end of the engine on the right-hand side, you can get the big bolts. They're a 24 millimeter. Actually, these are 15/16, which is the same as 24 millimeter. And there's 10 of them on there. I put my bolts back in the dampener, so if the crankshaft wanted to spin, it would stop with the pry bar on the frame over there. And yeah, then we got the timing cover off. And so tomorrow, we're going to see what we can accomplish on that top end for getting all that gobbledygook out of there. And then see if we can't get that head lifted off to see what we're up against. And so, well, there we go. Day 1 of 9420 engine teardown has begun. And then I think by tomorrow, I'd like to just take these 4 bolts loose, hook the crane up to it, and whoop, slide that engine out, or bring the Massey in and lift the engine and bring it down here, whatever. But fairly not a bad job, to be honest with you. And so there we go, guys. Day 1.